Greetings, folks. This is Laz with NBNN News, and we're here today with Amber Raine of Avatars Radio. Amber, come join me. Let's have a seat.
Well, that's interesting. Gotta love pre-alpha. There seems to be you sitting in the middle of thin air.
Yeah, I see everything okay, and the broadcast looks okay. How you doing today, Amber?
I am doing fantastic. How are you?
Oh, we're doing good. We've had a little technical difficulties here getting started, but otherwise we're doing fine. First off, I'd just like to say congratulations on being the radio of the avatars out there. It's got to be an amazing accomplishment for you and the team.
It is indeed. Although I have to admit, it's I am not necessarily the radio. It's the team effort. So yeah, without the team, there would be no radio. So.
Oh, that's good. That's good. The team is what brings it all together. And let's see. I'm going to go ahead and do something we don't normally do here. And that's bring us in actually live into the broadcast. There we go. A little new addition to NBNN interviews. And you can wave hello to the camera there, Amber. Hi, folks.
Something new for everybody. They don't get to see me.
Oh,
Hi.
yes. Oh, yes. So let me start with this. Amber Raine. Let's talk about Amber Raine. Who is Amber Raine? Tell us a little about Amber.
Well, Amber is me. Hi. The High Priestess of Chaos, as done in role play, really. Long history of that, which can be found on the forums. I've written the entire lore and history of my family, all the way from Ultima Online. I've played all of the Ultimas except for 9, which I played about 10 minutes of, and then went, yeah, had a spoonie one episode.
That counts.
Other than that, I mean, I've been a DJ for about 16 years, and that's why I actually brought it here to New Britannia, because I figured, you know what, as far in as I am of my love for everything New Britannia, I'm going to bring one of my other passions here. So.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. And of course, when you decided to do this, there was a lot of people behind you to bring this to the game and to bring this to the people in the community. A little about that.
Well,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
people behind it, actually, when it first came up, it was in IRC. We were sitting there. There was no game at the time. And we were all sitting in IRC bored, waiting for episode 1 or release 1. Waiting. I'm like, you know what? We're bored. We need something to do. So I went, I'm a DJ. I'm going to turn on my stream. You guys want to join me? Go ahead. And of course, next thing I knew, people were tuning in, listening, requesting songs, whatnot. It was really just created from pure boredom at the time. And then people kept going, well, you're going to turn it on, we want to listen. You're going to turn it on, we want to listen. And it turned out to be, eventually came to a point when it was 24/7. Nobody would let me turn it off, and I loved it. We started getting invited to events. They wanted the music at the events. They wanted different things at the events. In the beginning, there was no website. It was just tune in directly to the radio. And then Duke Violation actually and Sir Style Teckle actually said, hey, we want to create a website for you to help you get it even further out there for everybody. And so that's where that started with that, and then started getting more DJs involved. Trevor was first, Seleth, and then it went on from there. So it was a progress from seeing it as a very small baby to where it is now. It's just amazing to watch it grow up.
It's absolutely fantastic, I must say. I'm a newcomer to the game in the last couple months, as you all know, and the community in itself and the Avatars radio crowd has just been phenomenal from everything I've seen. Everything from welcoming people like myself into the community, as well as just regular um, everyday gamers as they run across them in the game. And I see you fiddling with something there on video.
Sorry.
What is this that you are fiddling with? Go ahead and tell us.
It's actually it's actually a Chaos Star. I was not expecting to get this, and when I got my new Plantronics rig that I had won on one of the Hangouts in February, this was actually in the box from Star. It was from the Hobloth 2, same place that came from, the Tapestry, and this is actually one of Blackthorn's Chaos Stars that if he threw it at someone, it would instantly kill them on contact. Apparently, he had 3 there, and he was only able to find 1. And well, he sent it to me. So
Well, you've got
now
it. Look
now
at
it's my
that.
nervous twitch thing. So
Well, it's funny you say that, and you mentioned the bug. I've got to remember, and I'm just going to say this for everybody out there: Shrouded Avatar is in pre-alpha release right now. So everybody, just keep that in mind. When you see little things go wrong, um, we're developing it. We're adding. We're helping tweak it. We're telling the developers day by day what needs to be done, and they come in and they fix it. We give them ideas, and that's something we're going to hit on here shortly. The radio. But anyway, moving on. You were talking about your DJs and your staff, and that's something that we'd like to touch on. You have a phenomenal staff of people. They have all sorts of different personalities, wide range of tastes. Why don't you tell us a little about that, and how these people came to be on-air DJs and part of the Avatars Radio family?
well, Trevor and Sally, my very first 2 that joined me, I've known them for several years. We used to be traveling in a different world together. And we used to work together in these places, so that's when they came on. And others, I've always said, if you've never done it before, we welcome you to join us. We'll be happy to teach you how to get it done. Join our family, because that's what we are. We're not a team per se, as much as we're a family, and we take care of each other. People came in, they saw, just like you said, in meeting us, talking to us, hanging out. You've learned that that's basically what we are as a family, and they liked that feeling that they wanted to get involved. They wanted to learn how to do it, and then that's when Royal came in, Addie. I've got in the family we now have about 13 people. It started at 1, me, and has grown to 13, not including the ones behind the scene who refuse to be seen.
And we do have some people who are just people behind the microphone and behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Okay. Is podcast, theater, the choices of songs. I hear stuff from people as I'm going around, and again, the community is wonderful. They're willing to share all sorts of information and ideas. And another quick thing is your nervous twitch and your bug. One of the things I was leading to is Amber on my video is sitting there with one of the bug twitches. And she's bouncing up and down in her seat
Oh,
like she's a
jeez.
little nervous Nelly there, but
That's what I'm doing in real too, right? So it's fitting.
it's all good. Um, yeah, the podcasts, the theater, all the other possible avenues aside from the music. Why don't you tell us a little about that and things in the direction that things can possibly go and are in the future for Avatars Radio?
Right. Well, that's something else we always offered, and there's a lot of people that don't like to be live. They're very nervous. They don't know if they can handle the on-air time live, or they can't dedicate a certain set of time to it. So what we always offered, and we still do, is podcasts. If you want to record something, a show, and have it aired, Asclepius and Lord Baldrith do this with Echoes from the Cavern every Wednesday and Saturday. They read out the update of the Avatar that comes out on Friday, and then we air it on the radio afterward. They're not actually live in studio or on the air. We're playing their podcast that they've pre-recorded. Very similar with the theater, where we all record our lines, And Asclepius, again, he works very hard behind the scenes to create a fantastic radio production from all the people's lines sent in. And we air it on the radio, at which point everyone's on stage and we're just, much like in the church, we're on stage, we're saying, typing in our lines while it is playing over the radio so that we have voice that you can hear at the same time that we're all acting it out. So it's fantastic. And it can work with so many different venues. Duke Rager has used it also.
It's incredible the technology that we have and that we're able to integrate into something as what some people would say as trivial as a video game. Of course, most of us know this is not trivial and it's not just a video game.
No,
To say the least, yes, it has a life of its own. It's more than that. Um, okay, well, that's really great. Now, the theater. Um, Give us a little bit more about the theater. You're an active part of the theater.
I am one of six of the heads of the theater, actually.
Now, this is the New Britannia Theater Troupe, is that correct?
That is, in fact, what it is. New Britannia Theatre Troupe came around about a year ago, actually, with Gabriel Nightshadow being the first playwright, came with Avatar's Chronicles, which aired on Avatar's radio back in September. It took about 6 months to actually get that one put together. He doesn't believe in short plays. But it's headed up by Asclepius, Lord Baldrith, Gabriel Nightshadow, myself, Sir Style Tackle, and Time Lord. We all decided, this is something that we're into. We want to do this, and it's something to entertain the community. At first, we weren't sure whether or not it would entertain anyone, if they'd be interested, but as we did our first play and watched everyone literally sit there in the church for 3 hours listening to a radio play, we knew this was definitely something we wanted to do. Our first stage play happened in Paxlair, and then the Phoenix Republic went, hey, we would like to have a stage play. We've got so many people lining up to go, we'd like one. So that's, it grew from we're nervous, we don't know, to everyone wants it, just like the radio. So it went hand in hand really nicely.
That's really absolutely incredible. And there was an idea that you and I were talking about the other day, and I'm not going to go into the particulars of it. I want to sit and talk with you afterwards. I think it's going to be a fun project for everybody. But anyway, I want to move on to in April, earlier in April this month, there was an April Fool's joke pulled on most everybody. For those who were not in the know and thought it was actually something real, myself included originally, because I wasn't in on the history of the jokes. But it made for some good news and some good broadcasting. But everybody went on strike.
Yep.
Everything from they wanted kilts to they wanted, fishing to they wanted, that was for Winfield. We know we want fishing. We all want fishing.
Yes,
to,
yes.
To a radio in every home. And this is something I'm highlighting here. I've heard this from a bunch of other people. And you went on strike stating you are not going off strike until there is a radio in every home in Shroud of the Avatar.
Yep.
And that brings me to asking what one of my people asked a question is the ether amplifier, the full name being, and I always have trouble with this, would you be so kind? The full name of this item is?
The Aether Vibration Amplifier.
The Aether Vibration Amplifier. Why I don't remember that, I don't know.
The AVA for short.
Oh, there you go. The AVA. Is somewhat, some people are calling it an elite item. Some people are saying that there should be other means to access one. And most of us understand that we have pledges to get this particular item as well as other items, and that was part of our pledge. And some people are going, well, that's not right. And, we want radios. And I've had people say, I'm in my home and I'm, doing my role playing and I'm doing things around the house and I go from one floor to the other and I want to listen to my radio in my home and I can't do that without carrying the radio with me. Let's talk about that a little. Now, you and I have already discussed this and we know what the ultimate answer was, but for the general public and the general population, can we get them the answer so they know?
Well, the radio came out as actually, it's not part of my ONBE, but it came out around the same time.
That's
Two
right. You
wonderful
are
people.
ONBE recipient as well
I
via Works
am.
with Avatars Radio, and
Yeah.
congratulations there on that as well.
Thank you. But two people, Joviex and Bubonic, they thought, you know what, this would be pretty cool if we could get this into the game. A bunch of the community believed that too. And so they worked together and created this device that was presented to me at the same time that my ONBE was. So I didn't really know about it happening until that day. And it was like a shock. But as time went on, it then got added to the pledge rewards. It was not on the pledge rewards in the beginning, so it got added there. And I always had the website for people to be able to listen to. That's actually why I went on strike. Not because I'm against the Aether Vibration Amplifier. I think it's a fantastic thing, but I am in full support that everyone who wants to listen to the radio should be able to listen to the radio and have one in their home. But since currently, um, we don't have that ability unless you are Dev Plus pledge level. You can't get one. We're going to always have the website. The website has a player on it so that you can listen to it outside a game, inside a game, wherever you are in the game. Because right now, if you were listening to it and you wanted to go hunting, the radio would disappear. The website's always going to be there until we have Walkmans.
Well, that was another question. Is, some people have said, well, it would be great to be able to have a radio that we can wander with and listen to on the road, but of course, the logistics of that would probably be just a little bit more. And of course, then, if you want to be adventuring and listening to Avatars Radio, we suggest that you just tune in on your web browser and you have it wherever you are.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, of course, but we want it for role play. And of course, then you got to really go and reach role play. Did we have portable radios? You know, the music on the road and adventuring was somebody playing the lute or the flute, which we will have the lute coming in. I believe some instruments will be coming later on down the line, which it makes for some more musical entertainment. Which leads me to the next question. When we do have musical instruments, does Avatars Radio have any plans to carry performances and performance pieces done by the players? Would that be something that you guys would likely carry, not carry?
Chances are we probably will. We already accept and welcome community music. That's something we're bigger on than the earthly. Like right now, we play whatever, whenever. And community music is always going to take top priority with us. So when musical instruments do make it into the world that we live in, if people are able to somehow record their songs that they make in there, then of course we would be more than happy to bring those into the station and broadcast them for others to be able to enjoy. If they want to just role play it and they have another track that they'd like to be using that's already into an MP3 format, we air it and they just pretend to be playing it, that's going to definitely be able to be a thing as well.
Oh, that's cool.
I would like to touch up on something, though, that you did mention, saying that in the time, whether it's fitting for the time, having the radio, it's not steampunk, it's clock punk, and so the radio actually does fit in with the era that New Britannia is based in. A lot of people were in the beginning saying it was a break in immersion, which it's not if you think of the time frame that we're actually in. Back then, they did in fact have the ability for mechanisms such as this to exist. So it's not immersion. It's not as immersion breaking as people used to say it was. And the kobolds who created, as that's what the lore is, the kobolds that created.
First photo bomber here. He came in and standing right on top of you.
Fantastic. The kobolds that created the Aether Vibration Amplifier are possibly able to create one that gets stuffed in a robot or something and can come with us.
Well, yeah, we have the the automatrons. We have the phonographs coming in as pledge rewards, which should be interesting. I've heard a couple little telltale things along the grapevine, but nothing confirmed for sure on that. Um, yeah, so I mean, it's understandable. Plus, it's a it's a technology that can be magically produced, if we want to call it such, in such a time as well. So it makes for great stuff, great entertainment, um, and a great way to get word out to the general public. That brings me on the radio. I know I've asked you this, and you've been asked a million times. Are there any plans to make a radio available to the public, other than the one that's in game, or any other way aside from just a web link? Has there been any other stir on that subject?
There has definitely been stir. There has been talks. There has been me going on strike and refusing to ever broadcast again until it happens.
Like
Um,
now, when we sit here and we go to the general world, is there a need for a radio in every house? Yes, there is.
There is. There definitely is. The entire community wants it, whether they're Dev Plus or they're not there yet. They want one, and we know they want one, but it is not up to us to do that. So it's not up to AR in order to do that. Portalarium is trying to find a way that the community pledgers are not going to get upset if they give this to people that didn't pledge for it. So it's in talks, maybe, possibly. Don't lawyer me,
Don't look at
but
me, bro.
thank you, my liege, for those wonderful words. But so it's not going to happen, but there's no say that it's not going to happen.
All right, well, that's good. And of course, again, for everybody who has any other, qualms about it, there's always avatarsradio.info now, is it?
It's both.
It's both. We have avatarsradio.com and avatarsradio.info.
And soon we will have .net as well.
Oh, very nice. So you're going to just cover them all.
Yeah, we're gonna make sure that nobody can come in and pretend they're us when they're not.
Anybody types in Avatars Radio anything, it's going to come right to the radio station.
Eventually, that's right.
Okay, now going a little off topic, I'd fielded some questions, and Woody wanted to know, he had a question, and we talked about it. Should we broach that subject, or should we just leave it or should we just get Woody his answer in public?
Hey, I'm cool with answering anything Woody might have to ask, although sometimes his wording can be a little interesting.
Well, I think I've got it down to, he wanted to know whether you still had your old cheerleader's outfit and whether you still fit into it, was Woody's question.
I still have it. I still have it. Whether or not I still fit into it is the question. It's been a number of years.
And again, that is something that Woody wanted to know. He didn't elaborate on why he wanted to know that.
I'm pretty sure I know why. It was posted on the forum that when I was younger, I was a goth cheerleader, and yeah, that's why I have the attitude I have now, right?
So you were a chaos cheerleader even back then, is what you're saying.
I so was, yes.
Okay, so now I can understand the question a little bit more. And then Avatars Radio's web links and other stuff. You have a lot of good other information aside from radio out there. Let's talk about that for a minute. Get a couple shout outs to some of your supporters and the people who are, I know we say the community, the community, the community. We can't scream at the top of our lungs how loud the community has been, a great effort, but let's pull a particular few who have really been the movers and shakers that helped get you off the ground and get Avatars Radio where it is today.
I'd be happy to do that because, like, normally I'm saying the community, and that's very huge. We have a wonderful, huge community, but pinpointing I've not actually ever really gotten to do, and I would love to give shout-outs to certain people. Sir Style Techo, for example, of thecaverns.net, was the very first person to step up and go, hey, I want to give you a hand. And this was back in January, February of last year. So a Duke Violation is another one who I will always believe is a part of the station, no matter if he disappears or not. He is the reason we had the old website.
And he's a big voice in the world out there today, too.
He is.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yes.
He hosts a lot of things, and his guild is fantastic. Browncoat Jason, Relics by Reeled, which is a great shop if you're ever wanting Shroud
Yes, I was
merchandise.
going to touch on Relics here at the end because I believe you do have some swag, as we call it, coming to the store.
It is in the works. We currently have our swag on Zazzle, but it's not working for us. So we're talking with Rild about getting it on his shop with everything else. It is so epic there. So
Well, they do a wonderful job in all the other products that we've seen them put out so far. So I'm going to take an educated guess that anything that they do for AR is going to be extremely well crafted and made, as everything else is.
oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
That's why I've been in talks with him, because I wouldn't trust anyone else with it.
And I'm figuring if Portalarium entrusts them enough to put their logos on it and let them be the face of Shroud or the swag, then that should be good enough for anybody else who comes to follow Avatars Radio, any of the guilds who may want to have their guild logos embroidered or put on caps and what do they do? Caps, glassware.
Coins, but that's Sir Frank that does the coin, but it's sold on his shop. Yeah.
Yes, the coins are a little different, right? Now, do you have a coin in the works by any chance? I don't know if I've asked you that, but I know there's coins that everybody's collecting, and there's another coin that's about to come out. I'm hearing.
The Oracle coin.
Again, it's just something I've heard. I haven't done any research on it, so apparently you have a little bit more info than I do on that subject.
As for an AR coin that hasn't been discussed, I would not be I wouldn't object to Sir Frank going, hey, I'd like to create a moon tower on this side and whatever on this side. I'd be all like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. But that hasn't been discussed.
Okay, well, maybe we'll get a little buzz going when people go, oh, I'd like an AR coin. Moon tower on one side with the AR logo on the other side, something like that.
That would be pretty cool.
Put the little chaos star in there someplace to make Amber
Definitely.
happy.
Yeah, it would have to be there. Yep.
Alrighty. And then what else do we need to cover?
I would like to say the biggest supporter, though, of the radio, if I may, and of course, other than the community, the biggest supporter that we have had is Portalarium. If it wasn't for the game world, of course, we would not have anywhere to be. And Richard Starr, Chris, one and only, all of them, including Fire Lotus, who is one of our DJs, have given so much support to us that it is the reason, and one of the reasons that we know what we're doing is, in fact, what we should be doing. Because if they're liking it, then, and we're doing it for them and for everyone else, then we're doing it for the right reason.
Now, speaking of Portalarium and their support, we were talking earlier this morning in another group, and Amber was getting really high on the horse because she got a really great little write-up from Richard Garriott himself in a recent interview. Would you like to touch on that real quick? And again, I always say you should be proud of your baby here, and you always hand your credit back to your DJs. But when it all comes down to it, everybody sees Avatars Radio. They say Amber Raine, Avatar Radio. And again, I got to say, if it wasn't for somebody with the drive, we wouldn't have it. I know your staff, the community are all wonderful, but elaborate on the kudos you got from Lord British himself and the whole thing on Avatars Radio there.
Well, I cannot say it was actually me that got the kudos, but thank you. Really, thank you. I know that I'm going to continue to say that I couldn't do this by myself. It's everybody, and that's just how I am. I can't take it upon myself. However, Lord British was wonderful in one of his latest interviews with 80levels.com, and he spoke about how the radio really has been helping out the community, which I thank him so much for, because that's exactly what we're doing this for. He had mentioned how it's one of his favorite things is the radio inside the game, because we're able to bring life to so much, the stage performances, the music for people to be entertained by, telling people where to go and how to get there in a polite manner.
And that'll bring
And
me
of
to
course,
another subject in a minute.
mentioning that the two wonderful people that created it, the community wanted it, a couple people got together, made it happen, and it came from the website into the device, into the game. And yeah, it's all a community thing. I will not ever, no matter what anyone tries to say, I'm proud of the baby growing up, but I will not ever take all the credit.
Well,
It's not mine to take.
I mean, it's almost, and I don't know if I'm going to make a faux pas here, but I mean, it's like Richard when he invented Ultima. I mean, he invented it, but it's grown to be, was not achieved by a single man himself, although the credit is all bestowed upon him for the invention and the advent of. Without all his developers and his producers and his artists and everything, we wouldn't be here today to begin with. So
Right.
somebody's got to take the initial credit. And speaking of that, I just wanted to touch on where we were sitting today. And you had a very, very popular sermon this week.
Thank you.
With a very, very interesting message to the world.
Yeah,
and
well,
it's gotten
yes,
quite a bit of coverage. So we're just going to touch on that before we close here today. We'll use this as closing statements maybe, and we're going to try and maybe get a big game-wide movement. You know, whether somebody puts it in their taglines, or parting greetings are used with these words in mind. You had a sermon this recent week, and this is where we're sitting today, is the Church of the Dark Star, where you perform your weekly services.
Yep.
And the topic of last week's sermon was,
Don't be a dick.
and can we elaborate? Now,
Well,
some people have gone a little one way on it, and most of us get what don't be a dick is.
yeah.
You know, it's don't be a pain in the butt to your neighbors. It doesn't, don't be running into events and PKing everybody you can just because you're a PKer. A little bit more on don't be a dick. How did we arrive there?
That's exactly what you just mentioned is exactly why it was done. I was having a heck of a week, and every Saturday at 11 a.m., Keys and Phoenix Fire and I do our service inside the church, and I was having such a heck of a week, and I wanted to say it so badly to a couple people because they just gotten too far. And I was trying to find a way to bring it into the service to help other people, because that's what we do, is try to bring the messages that are going to help others. And I went, poisonous people, no, that's not going to work. Toxic, no, don't be a dick. Basically, there are certain situations, if you go to an event, don't just get up and blast everyone and kill them all, because that's just dickish. The event planners, they're working very hard. The devs are working very hard for people's entertainment. To turn around and say, oh, you suck at this, or this sucks, or this looks like a 5-year-old drawing, that's not cool. These people are working hard for everyone's entertainment. We're a community, and if we break off from that, then we are not going to get anywhere. We want to have this game and this life for decades to come. The only way that's going to work is if we're good to each other and we're not going, oh, I'm just going to ruin it for everyone because I'm a dick. Lord Darkstar, he has, don't lawyer me, bro. The church now has, don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. So, for everybody who's listening out there, so everybody who watches the rebroadcast of this, remember, get the campaign going. Be nice to your fellow player and community, and don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Let's get the movement going. Let people know. Alrighty. So, Amber, anything else you'd like to discuss, say, touch on? while we got a couple more minutes here?
I would like to say one thing, and that's anyone who has not been, you're new to this, and you want to get more involved, do so. Don't be afraid to come up to community people and say, hey, I'd like to help out. I don't know what to do. We're going to be happy to help you out. Much like Laz here with the NBNN. Just do something, get
Yeah.
involved and have fun with it, and, support each other because that's what's going to help make things happen.
And again, yes, I will be also seconding that motion. Do not hesitate. I did not come into this game planning to be interviewing people and running a news organization. It just happened. It's just one of those things that I saw so much capable to be done in the broadcasting, in the news, in the events that are thrown, that um, I just felt that there was another outlet that needed to be shown. And I just started doing it. Somebody just said something one day in one of these little brainstorming sessions we had, and the next thing I know, NBNN was born, and here we are. We're doing interviews, live streaming in game with video. We're getting it out to the community, and we're sharing wonderful ideas. And for everybody who is not following the forums, not following the news, get yourselves up to speed now. We have a lot of wonderful things coming down the pipe for Release 17. We have the End of World Party. We'll touch on that real quick. Avatars Radio will be hosting, or you are in participation in hosting with somebody else, I believe.
We are going to be bringing the music. I was given the honor to post it because I actually came up with the thought, and then I approached For Bear, which is 4B and Bear's Tavern, and I went, hey, we'd like to have this be a thing. And so Athanol of the Bear's Tavern went, let's use my basement where it's a cannibals fest. And yeah, well, that worked. And basically, we're not celebrating the end of the world as much as the beginning
Correct.
of the
Correct.
world.
Yes.
It's been 3 months since we've had a wipe.
It's a
and
rebirth, yes.
Yes, exactly. Which is what chaos is all about. It is about, breaking things and regrowing from whatever is broken. So.
Breaking the mold and growing like a snake shedding its skin. Those things that happen in nature, those unexplainable mysteries of the universe.
Exactly. So that's what that's for.
And then one thing I didn't touch on, Avatars Radio in Paxlayer. Upcoming, you guys are going to have some room in Paxlayer.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a design that you have submitted, put out there for what you're calling Radio City.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell us a little about that before we call it a day here?
Radio City, entertainment capital of New Britannia. Everyone deserves to have high hopes and dreams.
Yes.
So we are going to be having a very large club in there where there's going to be events happening all the time, dancing, whatever, so that when you're done hanging out or done hunting, you're done crafting or whatever you're doing, you have somewhere to come hang out, party to the music. So we're going to have that. We're going to have stages, and we're going to have everything that is entertainment, whether it be places for streamers, actors, musicians, whatnot. It's going to be able to find a home right there, a stage or a venue. The actual shape came from this idea. If you look at it on the forums, we've actually posted our map there. It's round and in a caldera of a volcano, but if you really look at it, the shape is the Chaos Star.
Is the Chaos Star.
And that's what entertainment really is. If you look at it, it's very, very chaotic. You never know which way it's going to go.
And that's always a wonderful thing, because around here, you just never know from one day to the next what's going to happen. I'll just take, for example, when we had the Release 16 party, and Lum comes walking into the party and presents something to somebody, and the next thing we know, we have a surprise Easter quest. And it just happened, and we just happened to be there at the time when this was introduced, and it's just an amazing thing. And then last but not least, I don't know if we can mention it and go into details, the location of the studio. Can we talk about that, public, what the plans are, or is that still in the works as to where. Should we save that for a later date when it's more firmed up?
Well, it is already firm.
Oh, okay. I wasn't too sure, so I wanted to ease on into it to find out whether it was territory we can discuss here on the air.
Oh, most definitely. It's already firm. Just like the church location, when episode 1 hits, those are both going to be in the same spot. It is actually going to, I'm actually starting to think people want to clone me and cut me in many pieces to have one in every single city. But our big one for at least R17 and into the future where it will be is in Paxlair. We're going to have the church here inside a graveyard, and then we're going to have right kitty corner across the street will be the Avatar's Radio main tower.
Okay, and the studio will reside inside the tower?
For now. Hopefully in the future, in episode 1 or 2, when they get around to it, we're actually looking at having it moved inside of a moon tower.
Okay, that's what I was getting at, was that they were actually going to assist in building a studio inside the physical moon tower to broadcast from.
The talks are with, we've been working on it for about a year. Avatar Acid worked on building it, gave a tour of it to Lord British, and again, it's a DLMB. It's not, that one's not set in stone. That is likely to happen. It's going to be in the center of RC. There's going to be a moon tower with our studio in it by the time we get everything built.
Oh, that is just extremely cool. That is extremely cool stuff, and I gotta thank you. I gotta thank your staff for the wonderful stuff they do every day. Gotta thank the folks at Portalarium for the development of this game, for doing it the way they're doing it, and bringing the community on board. A lot of people don't realize that we, the community, are the voices, and several times a week I run into Lord British himself in game, and he pops in on people, and he checks on things, and he checks up on the staff, basically, make sure that they're taking care of the things that we're sending back to the home team. And it's just a real amazing thing we've got going here. So, would you like to say anything else here before we go to close?
Apparently I need to say hello to Rhea, who's hiding behind that bush over there, and Ed, who just came up.
Edward Newgate, who's photobombing us in the background. Hello, Edward.
Yeah. Other than that, I think we've covered everything. Although I want to once again just thank the entire community. Thank you, Laz, for the opportunity to sit down with you and have a discussion about this.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
The community for all the support, Portalarium included in that, because without you guys, we would have absolutely no reason to be here. You help us be able to do what we do. So thank you so much for your support, and those who have supported us on Patreon. You definitely, all of you, just make it possible. So thank you. Thank you.
There we go. That's great. And I'll tell you, I'm surprised it's not like a Lord British sighting where everybody runs to get to where Lord British is. I'm surprised we've only had 1 or 2 photo bombers throughout this session. But hey, you know, we're in our new beginnings here. I'd like to also thank you for taking the time for the interview today. You and your staff have been a wonderful help to me and the folks at NBNN, giving us tips and pointers, and just the all-around community welcome has just been overwhelming. If you would, just go ahead and sit right there. We're going to go ahead and sign out the stream here. I want to keep you on the side and just ask a question or two before we go.
Sure.
And okay, so this was interview with Amber Raine from Avatar's Radio here on NBNN. This is Laz. We will be bringing you more news as it happens live on NBNN. Wave goodbye, Amber.
Bye.
And we'll see y'all soon. News at 11.